Good morning, good morning, good morning. Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Today's Sunday, December 14th, 2025. It is the weekend, so we shall be charting. We do charts on the weekends, and my shows consist of the $1 trillion companies for the most part. Plus, we check out SPY and QQQ. Sometimes we do check out other ones, but that is our main course of the show, is the $1 trillion companies. So I did have a show yesterday, and I did cover all the $1 trillion companies, but I did not cover SPY and QQQ. So if you want to know what the weekly levels are, what your support and resistance is, and the daily highs and lows for Friday, you can check out yesterday's broadcast. But today we're going to start with SPY, and then we're going to go to QQQ, and then we'll do some of the other ones that people enjoy. But I did cover all the $1 trillion companies on yesterday's broadcast. Speaking of broadcasts, today's broadcast is brought to you by these investing interactive flashcards that I created. I will put the link in the chat, and I actually will do that right now. So let me get the link right here. Copy link. Okay. Now let me go ahead and put that in the chat. Give me 1 second, people. Okay, so let me tell you more about these investing flashcards. These flashcards, they are for beginners. If you are new to investing, or if you are not invested but you want to become an investor, then these flashcards are for you. So with these flashcards, the first deck of cards is 10 cards. The first question is, what is the stock market? So all you do is hit flip right here, and it gives you the answer on the back of the card. The stock market is a place or system where people buy and sell pieces of companies called stocks. And then it gives you an example. Let's go to the next question. Let me tell you the example. If you buy 1 share of Apple, then you own a tiny piece of Apple, and you can benefit from its price going up over time. So you have to actually go to the stock market or the app on your phone to be able to buy that share of Apple. What is a stock? A stock is a small piece of ownership in a company. Okay, so in deck number 2, I have 10 more questions for you. What is a brokerage account? A brokerage account is an account you open with a financial company or app that lets you buy and sell investments like stocks, ETFs, indexes, and crypto. And then I have the ABCs of investing, like this one. A for asset. What is an asset? An asset is something that has value and can grow or generate income. Okay, so that's just a preview of the flashcards that I created that are free. So if you click the link in the chat, you can have access to those flashcards for free, and you can learn. And if you find them useful, definitely share them to somebody who also needs that knowledge. And if you're watching this later, after the live has ended, I will put the link for the cards, for the digital interactive flashcards, in the comments. Okay, so let's check out SPY here. This is SPY. Let's go on a weekly chart. because on the weekends we check out the weekly chart so we can move our weekly levels to their proper place. So this is the weekly chart, meaning this candle is 1 week. So this body of the candle, and then this is the wick of the candle. So the bottom of the wick is the lowest place that price went during this past week, and that's going to be 679.22. And the highest place that price went is going to be 689.24. Okay, now that we've adjusted those levels, now we'll go to the daily chart. So the daily chart, this is Friday's candle. As you can see, is very red and very bearish. So when we go to the daily chart, that means each candle is just 1 day. So what we can do is we can put our previous day high level at the top of this wick, and then our previous day low is actually the same as the previous week low, because Friday had the lowest price movement of the week. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one, and then we'll bring it back on Tuesday, because on Tuesday we'll have Monday's candle, and we'll be able to put that at the bottom of Monday's candle. Okay, so let's see if we have any new levels we can add to the chart. Oh, before I do that, look at this gap right here. So a gap means there's an open space from one candle to the next. That means price jumped over that space. It's a very small gap, but it is a gap indeed. So over 90% of gaps get filled. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here, and we'll stretch it out to the end of the year, and then we'll put that on there. So I wouldn't be surprised if price ends up coming down, filling this gap before it's taken off to the upside again. Alright, let's check out QQQ. Oh, before we do that, actually, let's look at our Strat, what is this called? Our Strat Assist FTC 2.0 indicator, which lets us know how much price has been moving over different time frames. So on SPY, we are up 24% on the year. We're up 8% in the past 3 months. This is a great year for SPY. We may end up finishing up 3 years in a row over 20%, which is phenomenal, which is definitely extraordinary. And if you are an investor in the S&P 500, then you have had a great 3 years. Even though in April the market did go down 20%, but we have very nicely recovered because we did go up for 6 or 7 months straight after that pullback. So it's very important to continue to invest even when the market pullbacks, so you can be rewarded once the market recovers. Okay, let's check out QQQ. Let's go to the weekly. Okay, so this is our weekly candle here. Let's move our previous week low. So this candle is actually lower than the previous week's candle. So that's not very bullish. It actually looks like a bullish engulfing candle here, because this candle is engulfing this previous candle, and that is not very bullish at all. So we'll see what happens next week, but just looking at it, doesn't look good for QQQ, which is the top 100 technology companies for the most part, but there are other sectors in there, but it's mainly technology. I actually heard that Walmart just got invited to the QQQ. All right, so the bottom price that QQQ hit last week was 611.38, and the highest point it went to during the week was 629.23. Okay, so after we check out the weekly, then we check out the daily. Okay, so just like SPY, Friday was the lowest point for price. So we'll go ahead and delete this previous day low, and we'll bring it back on Tuesday. But we do have where's the previous week high? Previous week high is here. Where's the previous day high? Actually don't see it on here, so let's go ahead and add it. Previous day high. Previous day high for QQQ is 623.53. Do we have that gap here? It's just a couple cent. It's really not even worth me putting it on here. Look. Okay, so the high of this candle is 610.26, and then the low of this candle is 610.39. It's only about 13 cents, so I'm not gonna put that on there. I think SPY was like $1 or something. Let me check. The high was 676.82, and the low was 676.18. Now it was only about 60 cents. So yeah, let's go ahead and put that on there then. Since we putting gaps that are less than $1, just so we know, just for good practice. You see a gap, put the gap on the chart, because you never know, that maybe price just wants to go down here, fill this gap before it starts returning to the upside. Okay, so you got to stretch out your chart to be able to get the proper location of price. And as you can see, once I stretched out the chart, now I get a more precise level on the weekly. All right, so now we have the daily, we have the weekly, we have the gap, and we are all set. It looks like all our levels are still nice and good on here. Let's check out the line chart. Yeah, it's smooth. We did have quite a rejection here of price. So I'm going to put a level right here. We do have a level right here at 626.05, but because this was such a strong rejection here, I have to put a level there. So because these levels are close, that just means there's going to be a lot of resistance when price comes back in this area. It's going to be really tough for price to get over. And then we have the weekly level right here. We do have this gap right here. Yeah, it's going to be real tough for when QQQ comes back to this range here. But that's fine. It's part of investing. Alright, since we did do the other $1 trillion stocks yesterday, let's go to the index. We have the SPX. Let's check it out on the weekly. It did hit an all-time high this week. So the previous week high, oh, actually it didn't. It's very close. But if you zoom in, you can see that there is a little gap here. So I will put the previous week high right here. It's very close to all-time highs. So shout out to everybody that's invested. I know your portfolio is looking quite well. All right, previous week low, 6,800. All right, now let's check out the daily. The daily previous day low is the same as the previous week low, so we'll go ahead and delete that. And then our previous day high, we'll put that at the top of this wick at 6,910. All right, and do we have any more levels we can put on here? Nah, that's pretty good, actually. Oh, look at this level here, though. Yeah, this was a monster reaction from price. We definitely got to put a level right here. And we'll go ahead and round that up to the nearest 10 cent. And there we are on SPX. Okay, so next, let's check out the NAS 100. This is QQQ's index, the same way that the SPX 500 is SPY's index. So the indexes normally move before the ETFs, but they do trade very, very similarly. Okay, looks like we got an extra previous week high here, so we'll delete that. And then previous week high, it's going to be at the top of this wick at 25,836. And then we can go to the daily. So the top of Friday's candle, 25,706. And the low of the candle is the previous week low of $25,092. All right. This is a very bearish candle indeed. Yes, yes. You see this? This is called a bearish engulfing. It's when the body of the latest candle engulfs the body of the previous candle. This is a bearish engulfing. It's a very bearish chart pattern. So we may be looking at some bearish price movement starting Monday. All right, let's check out the VIX. The VIX did drop this past week. The VIX actually peaked at 1786 and it had a low of 1488. So we like the VIX under 20, as far as that gives us more bullish momentum in stocks most of the time. The VIX is the volatility index. So the higher the VIX, then the less certainty there is in the market. Okay, let's check out AMD. AMD on the weekly. AMD, previous week high, we hit a 224.80 and a previous week low. We had 209.06. It also has a bearish engulfing candle on the weekly. Okay, and then we go to the daily. Yeah, the high today on Friday was 222.49, and the low is the same. It looks like a lot of these stocks, they had a low on Friday. Oh, one thing I forgot to do on SPY, let's go back there quickly, was to take off my lines and then put on the algo so you can see what the algo had to say. So the algo, it was in a buy here. It's still in a buy, but it is actually negative because it did close underneath the stop loss. So it's very likely that on Monday the market opened this buy is going to switch to a sell. So there's that. Let's check out the 4 hour. Yeah, see, the 4 hour is already in a sell. So I'm thinking that the daily will flip to a sell on Monday. But it did get a close notification on this candle, so maybe there's a little inconsistency there. So maybe we won't be heading to the downside, because we do have the stochastic momentum indicator still green, and the long trend bullish indicator is still green. So yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that. And then we'll check out QQQ on a daily. See what the algo says. It wasn't a buy. It did close below. So just for instance, we got a buy signal here on Friday the 28th. This was the entry 619. So if you were to follow the algo, you would have hit TP1 and TP2. You were halfway to TP3 before price reversed. And we did have a very bullish candle here on Thursday with this bullish hammer candle, but price did end up reversing. So you can get an idea about what's going to happen with the candlesticks, but they're not guaranteed. Nothing in investing is guaranteed. This price action will happen, but as far as the long term, the longer you're in the market, in the S&P 500, let's say, just for context, then the more likely you will make money. Because time in the market beats trying to time the market. Alright, so let's go to the 4 hour. See, we got a sell on the 4 hour on Thursday. So had you followed the plan of the algo, you would have gotten in here at 620. You would have felt some pressure, and actually you would have been faked out because it did close above the stop loss, and then it ended up coming back down. So I just wanted to let you know about the algo, what it had to say about that. All right, let's go back to AMD on a daily. We already moved our levels, so now we can put the algo back on. Let's see what it has to say about AMD. So AMD got a strong sell on Wednesday, November 25th. Had you got in, the entry was at 223. You would have hit TP1 the next day. And that was a $12 move. So that was a great call by the algo. And then the following day, it hit 200, which was TP2, which would have been a $23 move. So shout out to the algo for calling that. So currently it still is in this particular trade. It did go back to the entry point, and then it did end up hitting TP1 again. All right, so we can check out the 4 hour. Okay, the 4 hour gave us an additional sell signal here at 214. So it did come to the stop loss, but it did not close over the stop loss. So based on that, you're still supposed to stay in the trade. And then you did end up hitting 210 for your first take profit. Shout out to the algo. All right, Bitcoin. Let's check out Bitcoin on the weekly. Do I have any levels here on Bitcoin? Yes, I do. All right, so let's check out Bitcoin. It did do a lot better from 2 weeks ago. So now the previous week low is around 88,000. When the week prior it was down to 83,000. Okay, so let's move our previous week high to 94,600. Then let's go to the daily. As you can see, Saturday's candle was very small. Not a lot of price movement on Saturday. So we'll put Saturday's levels on here. It has since broken below Saturday's low, but not too much though. It's almost 30% off right now. Bitcoin is almost 30% off. So if you are a believer in Bitcoin, it would be a good time to do an entry on some investment in Bitcoin. So the next level for Bitcoin, I want to see if it breaks underneath 87,770. If so, then I could see it coming back down to 83,830. And if it breaks that, I see it coming back to the previous month low at 80,000. All right, let's check out IBIT. Oh, actually, before we do that, let's check out the algo on Bitcoin on the daily. So it did have a buy, but we did get a close notification today. So let's check out the 4-hour for the latest. Are we in a sell on the 4-hour? Yes, we are. The entry is 89,900, and your first target is 87,700. Everything is red on the trend, on the momentum, on the volume. So, yeah, Bitcoin is looking very bearish right now. Okay, I want to do a quick 30-second commercial for my new investing flashcards. These are for beginners. They answer 20 questions that beginners have about the market, and it's very easy to use. All you do, you go on this menu here, this drop down menu. You want to go with the basic questions. We did do a couple questions earlier, so I'm going to keep on going. This is card number 3 of 10. What does investing mean? You hit flip and it'll give you the answer. Investing means using your money to buy things like stocks or funds that can grow in value over time. For example, you invest $100 in a stock, and in a few years it may be worth $150. So your money has grown. Next question, why do companies sell stock? Hit flip and get the answer. Companies sell stock to raise money so they can grow, build new products, pay workers, or expand into new locations. For example, Nike could sell shares to help pay for opening more stores around the world. Okay, so outside of the questions, we do have investing, the ABCs of investing, where each letter of the ABCs gets a card that has to do with investing. So this card is knowledge. So hit flip. Knowledge is the understanding you build as you learn about investing, and it grows in levels from beginner to intermediate to advanced. So a beginner learns basic terms like stocks and ETFs. Intermediate investors learn strategies like diversification, and advanced investors study topics like market cycles or options. So if you check in the chat, you can see a link to my free interactive flashcards, and I will also put it in the comments. All right, back to the charts. Here we are on IBIT. Let's go to the weekly. Let's put our levels back on here. So we had a weekly high of 53.72 and a weekly low of 47.54. All right, let's check out the daily. So Friday's high was 52.63 and Friday's low was $50.77. It does have a gap below down here. So I think if Bitcoin continues to fall, IBIT will fall as well. Well, it definitely will because it's tied to it. But I mean, if Bitcoin continues to fall, then IBIT will come into this gap. And if it does fill the gap, maybe that's what we need to give us some bullish momentum, or it may come down to this weekly level here at 47.90, and below that I see it coming to 46.71. IBIT is almost 30% off all-time highs, so if you are an investor who doesn't want the riskiness of investing in a asset like Bitcoin, you can just buy the fund. This fund was created by BlackRock, one of the biggest institutions in the world. So you don't have to buy a cold wallet and worry about your crypto getting stolen. All you have to do is buy this ETF and let BlackRock put up the risk. All right, so let's check out the algo, see what it has to say about the daily with IBIT. It's really been consolidating right here. It did have a buy here, but it did close below. So I'm pretty sure on Monday this will be flipping to sell. And I'm sure if we go to the 4 hour, we will be in a sell. Yes, we're in a sell on the 4 hour. So if you want to get into a sell on IBIT, wait for price to go below 50.92 and your first target will be 50.38. And after that, you'll be in the gap. All right, let's check out Ethereum. For the crypto heads, Ethereum. Let's put some levels on here. Let's go to Ethereum on a weekly. Ethereum had a weekly low of 3,040 and a previous week high of 3,478. And let's go to the daily. Let's put it on Friday. Let's put it on Saturday's candle, which is very small. Looks like crypto does not do a lot of trading on the weekend, even though the market is open because price is moving. All right, let's check out BMNR, who is also, actually before we do that, let's check out the algo on Ethereum. It did have a buy signal here on Tuesday. The entry was 3,318. It almost hit TP1 and it has since reversed, and it's just consolidating right at the stop loss. Let's see if we're in a sell on the 4 hour. Yes, we are in a sell on the 4 hour on Wednesday at 4 p.m. We got into a sell, and we've since hit TP1 on the 4 hour. All right, let's check out BMNR. BMNR on the weekly. BMNR had a weekly low of 33.86 and a previous week high of 42.14. I do see a spinning top candlestick pattern on the weekly, which is very, very bearish. Okay, for Friday's high, we had 38.81, and Friday's low. Yeah, this is a very bearish candle. Look at this. Ooh, down 9%. Goodness. All right, Friday's low was 34.75. All right. So let's check out the algo. The algo was in a buy from Friday the 28th. It looks like it moved up because the entry now is 39.21. So that means the entry price was here at 33, and then it did hit the take profit before it switched. Sure, if we go to the 4 hour, we'll be in a sell. Yes, we are. We did get a strong sell on Friday at 5 a.m. with the entry price of 35.77, with the first target being 32.39 for BMNR. All right, let's go to Palantir. Let's go to the weekly. Palantir on a weekly. All right, Palantir on the weekly. The highest price was $190.39. And the lowest price, it's up a lot because 2 weeks ago the lowest price was $163, but this past week the lowest price was $177. So it did gain a lot of ground 2 weeks ago. All right, so let's check out the daily chart. Okay, so we'll go ahead and delete the previous day low because it's the same as Friday's low. And then we'll check out the previous day high of 186.53. Oh, let's continue this gap because that may be where price wants to head next. Okay, so let's check out the algo. The algo, we got a strong buy on Wednesday, December 3rd. Price was 176.08. You did hit TP1 of 183, and you were pennies away from hitting TP2 at 190. So that's a $14 move that the algo would have given you if you listened. All right, so next let's check out Hood. Robinhood. Let's check out the weekly. Robinhood, very bearish on the week. It actually had a bullish engulfing on the weekly, which is a very bearish candle. All right, so let's check out. Let's put our previous week high at 139.85. Our previous week low at 117.83. Super bearish. Okay, so our previous day low is the same as the previous week low. So we'll go ahead and delete that. For Friday's high, we had at 125.62. Robinhood is in this gap. It is very close to being 25% off. So if you are not invested in Robinhood and you believe in the company, then you are at a great price for your initial buy-in. I usually recommend at least 10% off, but it's over 20% off right now. So that's definitely a great entry. Don't buy it all at one time. I do recommend scaling in if you want to scale in 3 different times. So you'll put 1/3 of each investment. So you can do, just say you're putting $1,000 you want to put $1,000 in Robinhood as your total portfolio investment. So you'll put $333. Well, it's already under 20%. So if you want to do it on Monday, you can put your first investment there. You can put another one in between 25 and 30% off. And then you can put your final in between 30 and 35% off as you are scaling into this entry position. All right, so let's check out the algo on Robinhood. Robinhood is currently in a sell. This sell candle was from Friday, so it didn't start yet, but it will start on Monday at the open. Your entry point is 119.50 and your first target is 113.35. Let's check out the 4 hour. So the 4 hour actually gave you the entry point. It gave you a strong sell on Thursday the 11th at 5 a.m. with your entry point at 123.98. And you are about halfway to your target of 113.72. All right. So we got a couple more before we end the show. Grab. Let's check out the weekly. All right. Previous week high is going to be 527. Previous week low is going to be 505. Previous day low is going to be 511. And it looks like the previous day high and the previous week high is the same. So we'll go ahead and delete the day. Grab is over 20% off right now. Grab is very different from the other tickers because this is actually only $5 per share, and it's actually not an American company as well. All right, let's check out the algo. The algo has Grab in a sell. The entry point was 556, with the first take profit being 533. But it has moved a lot since this call out. So let's go to the 4 hour and see the latest 4 hour call out. Okay, so the latest 4 hour sell signal is Tuesday, December 2nd. The entry was 525, and it did hit all three take profits. So, shout out to the algo. All right, XLG, one of my new favorite ETFs that I'm not invested in just yet because the price is too high. But once it pulls back, I shall be entering this position in my Roth. All right, so the weekly, let's put some weekly levels on here. Previous week high, 59.89. Previous week low, 58.70. All right, with a previous day high of 59.62. And the previous day low is the same as the previous week low, so we'll go ahead and delete that. This is an ETF that covers the top 50 of the S&P 500. So I really like this. I wish I found this ETF a long time ago, but it's great. I really like this. Because you're basically betting on the 50 most valuable companies in the world. Basically, that's what you're doing with this ETF. So with the regular S&P, you're betting on the 500 biggest. But with this one, you're betting on the 50 biggest. So to me, I definitely like that. All right. So that is it for today's show, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Actually, before we do that, before we go, give me 1 second. Let's check out the sectors. See how the sectors are doing. So XLK, which is a technology sector, on the year is up 22%. And over the past 3 months is up 11%. The past month is down 5%. I'm not going to check all the levels. I'm going to just go over how it's done so far this year. So XLY, consumer discretionary. For the year, it's up 25%. The past 3 months is up 11%. The past month is down 2%. XLC on the year is up 33%. The past 3 months is up 9%. The past month is almost up 0.5%. XLF financials, it's up 28% on the year, and it's up 3% on the month, 3% in the past 3 months, and almost 2% the past month. So it definitely was doing the majority of its upward trajectory prior to the last 3 months. So earlier in the year, it was doing great. It has since slowed down. All right, XLV, healthcare. It's green for the year, but it's only at 1%, so it's almost break even. That's very different from the other sectors that we just looked at. XLP, consumer staples, it's up 9% on the year, down 3% past 3 months. It's up 4% the past month. Not bad at all. XLE, energy sector. Now, I know they had some companies that were stand out, but as a whole, the sector is barely over break even. It's not even 2%. So just think about what sectors you want to invest in, because some sectors are doing phenomenally and some sectors are still close to break even. All right, XLU utilities, it's up 20% on the year. Congrats for those who invested in XLU. You're up 20% on the year. That is a wonderful year. Wonderful year. Up 6%, 6.8% the past 3 months. I don't know a lot of people who invest in utilities, but if you are, you up 20%. Salute to you. XLI, industrial, up 16% on the year. That is not bad at all. That is not bad at all. XLRE, barely over break even. So that goes to show you which sectors did great and which are stuck around break even. Well, I don't think any of them were negative on the year, so that's great. If you only invest in ETFs, then you are not negative on the year. But if you invested in certain individual companies, then you could definitely be negative on the year. So if you want to take some risk out of your investment portfolio, you definitely want to add some ETFs. And you can see which ones were outperforming. You had the technology ETF over 22% on the year. You had consumer discretionary up over 25% on the year. XLC communications up over 33% on the year. XLF up over 28% on the year. So these are phenomenal returns for ETFs. Man, if you're not invested in ETFs to take the risk off, you are risking your portfolio when you could be getting these phenomenal returns without the risk, well, drastically reducing the risk. But that being the case, you have to be in the right sectors, because if you're in the wrong sectors, like XLV, or XLE or XLRE, then you're very close to break even. So you have the stars, you have the break evens, and then you have XLI. 16% is great. I'm not going to say 16% for the year is not great. XLU, 20%. Phenomenal. So overall, it's been a great year for the market. So beginners, it's been a great year for the market. It's actually been 3 great years for the market, even though it didn't go straight up for 3 years. But overall, it's looking like we're going to end the year over 20%, and we'll have 3 20% years back to back to back, which is very rare. But if you are invested, you are very happy. All right. Once again, check out the comments to get my free investing interactive flashcards. Check out the chat. And if you're watching this later, I will put it in the comments. So I am going to play one song for y'all. This song is from Matt Rich's AI. Matt Rich's 510 AI music. All these instrumentals are from me as well. But let me go ahead and play one of my stock market songs as we end the day. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Before you master the market, you gotta master yourself. It ain't the money that traps us. It's our emotions tied to it. We're taught how to use money to survive, but never taught how money is used to create freedom. Today, we rewrite the code. Trade beyond the trigger, think beyond the check. Freedom out first, then you earn respect. Labor gave us limits, now we move with skill. Purpose in my profit, faith funds the will. I'm not afraid of green, I let it breathe and grow. No panic in my pulse when the trend runs low. I'm not just using cash, strategic in what it do. Use money or be used, the choice is on you. See, we clocked in hours, got taxed to the bone. Now I borrow cause my credit while my cash stay home. From overtime grind to leveraging plays, now I let assets talk while I study the waves. Emotions have me shook when the chart turned red. Now I zoom out time frames, bigger moves instead. Had to break free from that working class script. Now I talk to the market like we gon' flip. Trade beyond the trick, kick beyond the check. Freedom on first, then you earn respect. Labor gave us limits, now we move skill. Purpose in my profit, faith funds the will. I'm not afraid of green, I let it breathe and grow. No panic in my pulse when the train run low. I'm not just using cash, strategic in what I do. Use money or be used, the choice is on you. I used to chase green like it might run out. Now I sit in the dip, I don't move off doubt. The goal ain't just income, it's building control. Letting money work while I guard my soul. If you still panic every time it drops, that's not a market problem, that's a mindset block. You ain't losing trades, you losing trust until you master your emotions, but will always feel like luck. Trade beyond the trick, think beyond the check. Freedom on first, then you earn respect. Labor gave us limits, now we move with skill. Purpose in my profit, faith funds the will. I'm not afraid of green, I let it breathe and grow. No panic in my pulse when the trend run low. I'm not just using cash, strategic in what I do. Use money to use, the choice is on you. It was never just about the market, it was about the mirror. You're not just battling bears and bulls, you battling your blueprint. Use money with wisdom, or money will use your wounds.
All right, that's it, y'all. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom.